Hey, it's Nicole. Welcome back to the show. We're so excited to have you. And let me tell you, this topic today, it's about email and what we're doing wrong, frankly, and how we've gotten the best experts to tell us what we might be doing right and how we need to do more of it. So meet Alex Malone and Andre Marin, co-founders of Code Crew. They are on a mission to harness email marketing, not just for sales, but the betterment of the world and small businesses that drive real, sustainable, and exciting growth that we can all be proud of. Code Crew exponentially boosts email revenue for the world's most exciting companies, averaging over 1,300% ROI for their clients.
Hey, if you're an entrepreneur who usually fast forwards intros just like this one, this is the podcast for you.
Hey, just a reminder, our show is brought to you by SmartCookie Media, where we believe data tells a story, and not just any story, your business story. As a subscriber to the show or as a client, you'll get insights on profitable, data-driven marketing strategies that work for you and your business, your industry, not some cookie cutter trends. No, ideas that are led by your customer data so you know they'll work for you. Connect with me on LinkedIn or Instagram to learn more. Everything's in the show notes. Now, let's get back to the show. I'm so excited to have you two on the show.
Yeah,
We're stoked to be
thanks so
here.
much.
I want to start the way we do it with everybody. Tell me, how would you finish this sentence? You know you're an entrepreneur when?
When you wake up feeling like the world is probably on fire, but you're excited to actually fix everything that's coming at you.
That's
Yeah,
great.
I'm going to say if you take every single moment, including taking showers and other bathroom business, to think about your next big thing.
Oh my gosh, I feel
Mm.
seen, attacked, totally called out. I usually get my best ideas when I'm blow drying my hair, personally. Matt, you?
Shaving. If that's the time you are devoting, you're definitely not working a job, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll just leave
it's
it
more
at
than
that.
a job. Concentration while shaving. I like it. So tell us, in your own words, what do you do in this world? What businesses do you own?
Absolutely. So we actually like to say that we are 100% full service. That means that we do absolutely everything from the nitty gritty of deliverability items and having a full tech team that can deal with any of the really gruesome issues that email marketing can sometimes come with, all the way into strategy, copywriting, writing code for those emails, designing them, sending them out, and everything in between. There's a lot to email than just batching and blasting and clicking a button. And I love the fact that in the intro, you kind of brought up the idea of not only how are we doing email right, how are we doing email wrong, but also what are we kind of overdoing with email. Back of the envelope type math. The more you send, the more you make. That's really not how it goes. That's not the way to go with email.
You use the word gruesome. It's a very interesting term. Now, I know, generally speaking, my open rate from my own clients when I'm sending them important documents is gruesome. But give me a description of something that's gruesome in your line of business there.
I think honestly, we are going through so many issues sometimes with regards to picking up a brand new client and what do we want to do with them. To give you an example here, and I'm going to stay away from name calling, but we've just finished working after, I think, a year and a half with a client that we signed. And prior to us signing them, for the past 365 days, they have sent an email every single day to their entire list. No segmentation, no thinking about the content and who should receive what. Just batch and blast to the entire list for 365 days. And I mean, you probably can imagine the fact that the revenue was looking pretty great, but under the hood, there were quite significant issues and there was significant damage to that email list. So our job was to come in, and the most difficult part of it was to explain why their email marketing program, which now was making quite significant revenue, was actually extremely unhealthy. And we had to recommend severe changes to not just the sending cadence and strategy, but also how we are going to be looking at those lists and how do we plan to call some of the contacts that they have on those lists. Because a lot of times, unfortunately, some clients that we work with don't quite understand the importance of making sure that you keep your list managed, you clean it very frequently and make sure that it's healthy. And so I think honestly, that's one of the biggest problems that we run into, because it ultimately leads into some of the hardest things to solve with email, which all live under that big umbrella of deliverability. And there are so many things going on when poor deliverability happens that you sometimes don't even know where to start to identify what's actually going wrong.
Now, I know you said we're not going to call any names, but I think he dropped a hint, Nicole. Did you hear it under the hood? I think it's the extended warranty, folks. Blink twice, Andre, if it's extended warranty for my car. I'm just saying right now, I get a lot of emails about needing extended warranties, and I think it's every day. So
He even hit your mailbox, your
They
actual
do.
USPS. Yes.
yeah, exactly. That's why I'm laughing.
Yes. Didn't I buy this already?
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like there's so much to unpack there. I'm listening through Matt's ears and him thinking, okay, deliverability, means simply if it's not in the inbox, it's not seen. And if it's not seen, they can't take action on it. But there are the promotions tabs now, the social tabs that people are getting dropped in so many different places. And then I think about it in terms of copy. And I want to say this to Matt because what we say to who we say it really matters, right? Context is everything. And so when you're saying about keeping it clean, I just want to point out to Matt, the busy attorney that sometimes looks at me, the marketer, sideways, that it really does matter what we're saying to the right people. They'll be ready to take action or they're not ready or they want to learn more. Because like you guys, I believe more is just more. More is not better. Better is better. And it sounds like that's what you're bringing to the market.
Well, it's quality versus quantity. I mean, at the end of the day, every business can, abide by their own set of rules of how they're going to approach their contacts, their clients, their customers. But as long as, you're providing them true value, you're doing what you need to do for those customers. And, don't be an annoyance either, because if you are, people are just going to ignore you. And in email terms, that's the spam button.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your story. Tell me, what led you to entrepreneurship? I mean, first of all, you guys are co-founders. Matt will probably want to go down that rabbit hole, but tell me, was there a specific moment, event, or experience that happened to you separately, maybe as kids or something, that you just knew that this would be your life's work?
Honestly, on my end, I never thought I would do anything else in life because I remember as a very young, I think 5, 7-year-old, I would receive gifts from my grandparents in the form of toys very often, and they wouldn't give me money. So I would make them money. I would basically go outside and sell those toys throughout the neighborhood. And I just always felt like this would be the journey one way or another.
Incredible.
Wow.
It's funny for myself. It was almost the exact opposite. Well, I mean,
He was buying all of my toys,
I
basically.
was
Yes.
buying all the toys. I actually didn't even consider entrepreneurship until just a little bit before we started. My parents, they worked for companies for decades, the tried and true path of, hey, spend 40 years here, get a nice watch at the end, and then call it a day. And that's all I knew until my wife's parents. I met them and they're both entrepreneurs. And I finally realized, hey, this is actually an option. Ever since that day, I just thought, hey, there's got to be a better way than, just working, at a company all those years. And then what did I get in return for it? And here we are. It's 5 years and I definitely see it as the right choice. I wouldn't go back to being an employee. I don't think I could.
Yeah. No, you're ruined in the best way.
How about you two? How did you two meet? It's always interesting to me how people either A, seems like they have that instant trust or the instant bond, or B, it took some time,
We actually are 2 of 3 co-founders here at Code Crew. So Alex and myself, we met while working at another agency, both in a technical role, doing still email marketing. And from kind of being friends at work and starting to talk smack to one another, we decided to start playing video games at the weekends. And fast forward a few different sports video games in, and Alex taking a beating in most of those. We just started thinking about different things that we could potentially do. We had a ton of different ideas. We truly debated on some really interesting concepts. Some of them, I think, still not on the market to this day. We have this funny little channel going on Slack of #crazy ideas. And every so often, somebody just throws something in there that we could one day try to exploit. But yeah, that's kind of how we came to be.
There's my new answer. How do you know you're an entrepreneur? If you have a Slack channel dedicated to crazy ideas.
I like the fact that they're leveraging it to exploit too. That's my part. But like, you didn't say monetize. You didn't say, change the world. You said exploit.
And let's point out that you're in Romania, Andre, and you're in California.
Absolutely.
So playing video games, friends, like it's not just like, hey, let's go hang out and play some video games. Like this is, some effort. There's probably a little bit of a time difference.
A little bit, right around 10 hours.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Alex, now what's the truth? Let's dig into the truth. Was it really a beatdown?
Yeah, I got to admit it was. Yeah, no, everything else is definitely factual. I had just moved to the technical team. I was, a scrappy young kid, thought I knew everything. I did not know a single thing. But Dre was always the one who was willing and happy to help. And then we became good buddies over time and just started.
I took him under my arm like a loving mother, basically.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like a
You
mother
need
had.
that I love or best mom mug, Dre. I'm going to get you that.
Yeah, no, I definitely
here.
saw that. So I
Yeah.
was actually going to say, Matt, for people that can't see us, he has a best mom ever mug.
That's right.
Those emails that spam you kind of dust till dawn need to work in some fashion if you bought the wrong cup, right? You gave in.
Andre glazed over something when we asked the question, though, Nicole, and he said
Mhm.
they're 2 of 3. Are you allowed to discuss anything about your third partner? Maybe some roles, responsibilities. How do you guys manage the
Absolutely.
business?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We definitely are the more client-facing and front-facing folk, Alex and myself. But our third co-founder, her name is also Alex, as a matter of fact. But she's also my wife, and she actually leads our design department. And those guys are kind of siloed. We want to make sure that we allow them the ability and time and space to become creative and to give their fullest abilities in the creation of those designs, because we put a lot of TLC in every single design we send out there for our clients. For us, email marketing is not just using a drag and drop builder and slapping a JPEG on and calling it a job well done, patting ourselves on the shoulder. We actually want to make sure that our emails stand out from your inbox. If you open them, we want to make sure that you have that kind of aha moment and spend a few more seconds on our emails than any other that land in your inbox. So that's actually a thing that thankfully Alex beat into Alex and my heads when we were starting out, because we actually didn't see the value of going that in depth with design. We were like, okay, an email is an email. You've got the CTA in there. You've got a good message, a good product. Why wouldn't they buy? But it turns out that design can make a tremendous difference in your conversion rates.
I receive your next door emails, for example. So give her a high five. It's just so fresh and it's really, really different.
How about the 2 of you? How are you guys splitting up roles and responsibilities?
So we see ourselves as one human being almost. We actually had a call with someone who said, we are one face. We've taken that and run with it. What we do is mostly operations. We're working with the team, with the clients, on client calls pretty often as well, just making sure everything's running, everyone's getting paid, the business is legal in every possible way. And then, also making sure that at every single step, we're improving wherever we possibly can. So we're identifying issues, identifying areas that aren't necessarily issues now, but could be later.
I think Nicole, he's listened to the show before. You like how he slipped into making sure everything's legal? He's sucking up, I think, today. I think he knows exactly who stuff.
Matt, I don't want to disappoint you, but lawyers are easy. You're easy.
I know.
Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Hey there, busy movers and shakers. I get it. You're out there conquering the business world, hustling day in, day out. Well, guess what? We've got something to amplify your efforts, something that's about to make your entrepreneurial journey even more exciting. Introducing our podcast production services, your ticket to sharing your knowledge and stories without breaking a sweat. We know your time is gold. That's why our team of podcast pros will take the reins, handle all of the behind the scenes stuff. From brainstorming fun topics, introducing you to incredible guests, polishing up those episodes, repurposing your content so you can share among lots of platforms. We're here to turn your ideas into a podcast that's as easygoing as your favorite chat over coffee. Imagine establishing your expertise and your authority, making connections all across the globe in just minutes a month. And the fun doesn't end there. Our data-savvy approach gives you insights that will help you fine-tune your content and connect with your audience even better than before. So join forces with a crew that's as enthusiastic about your podcast as you are about your business. The SmartCookie Media crew. Let your voice resonate, your stories inspire, and your ideas spread like wildfire. Level up your personal brand through the magic of podcasting, whether you choose audio only or video too. Are you ready to dive into podcasting? Your journey to share your knowledge starts right here, because it's your voice, your podcast with our expertise. SmartCookie Media, turning your stories into conversations. Could you give me an example or a story of a strategy that you didn't see coming? Maybe something that came on a whim.
So we're actually trying to build a couple of different verticals as we speak that are somewhere correlated to our space and spot opportunities that aren't fully covered by other service offerings out there. And one of the opportunities and discussion points that comes up very often, for example, here would be, how do I grow my email list in an organic fashion and kind of talk to more people that are genuinely interested in what I have to sell? And since there's no really good answer out there, we are going to offer brands that speak to the same customer but don't offer the same product line, basically. An ability to collaborate. We're going to basically brokerage that entire relationship there and allow them to cross-promote each other and kind of allow their customers to gain exposure to the other brand's products. We're hopefully going to be able to launch in Q4. It's going to be called Crunity, and we lovingly call it Tinder for brands because we help brands come together. I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going with examples here that are genuine clients of ours and also a little bit out there, just so you can understand kind of the span of email marketing and how awesome it can be. So Nicole is selling knife sharpening services by mail. You, Matt, are selling the actual knives. And then Alex is selling fish in a box, fish subscriptions that land on your doorstep every single day. You're obviously all talking to people that enjoy being in the kitchen, so the customer profile is the same. You are not going for the same dollar because if I want to sharpen my knives, I already have proper knives, Matt. So you're not going for that same dollar. And if my knives aren't sharpened, Alex's fish is going to end up looking like a weird mush. So we enable you the opportunity to speak to every other brand's customers and to try to get those guys in the door, speak to them, and gain their trust and gain their email addresses. And so this all happens actually at the cost of 35 cents per contact. And when you're thinking of what you can average through Facebook, for instance, if you're selling fish in a box, it's probably going to be $20, $25, maybe $30 to acquire a new customer. So compare that to 35 cents. It's day and night. Even if those contacts are going to be slightly lukewarm from an email marketing point of view, you're not going to be infringing any deliverability laws, issues, email spam related things here if you do market to those people. And we are going to give you the tools needed to be successful when talking to them. But even if you are unsuccessful, you basically need 10 of them to convert. Let's say you manage to generate a list of 1,000 subscribers. So it's going to cost you $350. You need 10 sales to be able to cover all of that cost. This is going to help brands maximize their ability to get more from their email marketing programs.
So super powerful. I mean, talk about fish, knives, knife sharpening. You're right. That is pretty out there, but it's the same thing that we want from like when we go to a conference, we're a vendor there and we get this list, but it's a one-time use list. Having you guys in the background, knowing what to say to those people next, not just like a one-time use. I think that's amazing. 35 cents. Incredible. Incredible.
So Alex, your other partner, is Andre's wife. How's the dynamic with respect to running the business, voting? I've had my fair share of businesses where I've been involved with family and let alone other people's family and their spouses and whatnot. Some of those dynamics are sometimes difficult to manage.
I got to be honest. I think ever since day one, we've been very fair and very equitable and very professional about that. It's always been seriously as good as can be, if not a benefit. That being said, there was actually one time I did get the opportunity to go to Europe and meet them and, spend a good amount of time over there. I definitely saw, hey, there's a lot more going on behind the scenes that I'm probably not as aware of or, as part of the discussion. That being said, that's never been an issue. I feel as if I am in the room with them most of the time.
And Matt, to give my side of the answer, I think Alex is just a very unique individual. He's so special. He's so kind. And honestly, I don't see him getting into a quarrel or a discussion that's kind of heated with anybody, really, yet alone with my wife and I, who are always respectful and try our best to listen to the other party. So I think it all comes down to kind of making sure that you're respectful and listen to what the other person has to say before you get heated up and before you start throwing things around. And sure, if you still feel like throwing things around after you've heard the argument, that's on.
Well, you're also a 10 to 12 hour flight away from each other, too. So that helps. You know what I mean?
That's pretty hard.
Things will cool down by the time you get
cool
there.
down.
Yes.
Exactly. I was glad you were very careful in what you said for your answer, Andre, because had you said, me and Alex have all these great ideas, but my wife is always shooting us down. No, I'm joking.
It might be true. It might be true.
I want to point out one really important thing as well. Not just the fact that you guys worked together, but you played together. Like you literally played video games. I think there's a dynamic there that in the work world, especially in the corporate world, we get so lost into the only time we associate is in work or work-related activities. Something that probably helped was the fact that you did have that opportunity to play together and foster a relationship that was deeper and more of a connection than when you guys punched the clock for your former employer.
Oh, yeah, big time. We got to know each other more, who the human is behind everything instead of just the workers.
So one of the talking points that you brought to us, and we mentioned it early on, was how your approach is helping yield such a big return on email marketing. Now, plenty of people are saying, hey, email's not dead. People are still making buying decisions. I sure do. Thank you very much. More so than a billboard as I fly past it down the road. Like, I don't understand why we're still doing billboards over here in Chicagoland, but we are. Give me just a little bit of what that approach looks like so we can have an idea what it's like to work with you. If you can rattle off a few things that maybe they're not thinking of.
Well, I think we're both looking at each other because there is some secret sauce to it. I got to be honest. That being said, definitely testing, definitely just, seeing what works, listening to the numbers because they don't lie.
And trusting experts as well. Alex's point is great. So I think we've done over 20,000 A/B tests since we got founded. We run an A/B test with every single email that we ever send. So obviously that comes with being able to conjure up so much data. You almost set the benchmarks by understanding what works and what doesn't in that way. I would also say that email marketing is something that's akin to SEO, and you need to not just know what you're doing, but also spend the time to run reporting, to understand what you've done, to make sure that you always have somebody monitoring the work that's being done there. Because we've had instances where we stepped into brands' email programs doing an audit, and we found that they had 3 or 5 flows not working for months. But for some of these brands, not having a flow properly firing for a week and a half could mean hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, on some instances. So there's a lot that you need to do. Email is easy on the surface. You not only need expertise, but also willingness to upkeep those emails.
Forgive me for not knowing this. Do you guys use a proprietary platform or software in your own SMTP, or are you using third-party stuff out there to build everything you guys are doing?
Yeah, we're entirely agnostic. We'll work with literally anything that anyone throws at us.
What's a mantra? Something you hear yourself saying again and again to your team?
It's just email. At the end of the day, you know what? We're not saving lives. And this is something that I actually heard from someone else I was working with.
I think we worked together because I used to have to yell that to my team. It was one of my last corporate jobs. Like, no one's dying on a stretcher. Like, it's okay. The email can go out tomorrow. Like, specifically, I remember her staying late to do that. And no, you don't understand. The founder that I'm like, no, it's okay. It's gonna be all right.
Yeah, don't sweat the small stuff.
I'd like for both of you to answer this next question, and that is, how would you define your entrepreneurial success? Andre, you want to go first?
Building a team that can do the job instead of you, basically, and having made sure that that team is 100% autonomous, but also a team that genuinely loves you. I think that's when you truly have become a great entrepreneur. Because at the end of the day, I think that if your team doesn't work for you or for your business like it's their own, you're not going to achieve success.
Just making sure that every single day when I wake up and when I go to bed, I feel as though I've accomplished something new, something better, and I've improved myself.
How does someone get in touch with you? Where do you want them to go? If there was one place that they can connect with you, reach out and talk about your services.
Go to our website. Literally everything is there. All of our socials. If you scroll to the bottom, we're codecrew.us. That's codecrew.us.
Thank you so much, guys.
Hey, it's Nicole, and that's the end of the interview. But stick around. This is the part where Matt and I break it all down and give you our favorite takeaways. Listen in.
We just got done talking to Alex and Andre. What do you got?
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, the whole concept of quality over quantity thing, like, we always make fun of it. I'm the non-marketer, so I'm sitting there thinking, oh, get the biggest list in the world. Just get that biggest list in the world. And the idea all of a sudden that maybe it's not about just creating this big, massive email list where half your stuff's going to spam or promotions and stuff like that nowadays. It really is about some sort of quality, some sort of, quote, as he said, segmentation, other things you need to be doing with that list. As the person who's not the marketer, it kind of went, oh, I could see why I ignore 50 to 60% of everything that comes through my email, if not probably closer to 80 or 90 nowadays,
Right. Yeah, I'm glad that came alive to you. I will say, as the marketer, I get bothered when I hear the word quality. So if I can just beat up on that word a little bit, it is an easy way to say it, right? It's a clever way. Quality, quantity, ends with a Y, starts with a Q. Great. But I want to beat up on quality because it isn't just about size, or it isn't even if you think that you have people that are past buyers. It is really, truly, what is your goal for that email list? So if you put out a lead magnet to get freebie people on it, then you will have freebie seekers or unsubscribes really quickly. But if you grew that list because you put out ads, you put out a call for leads, you are making relationships, you're making sure people you're emailing with in your email. I have an automation set up that whoever we have an interaction together, they're getting dropped into my list so that I can keep that relationship going, which if I didn't have that automated, I'd be lost. That is quality because then they want to open it. Then they're responding to it. Then we've had these relationships. And so that's quality. So I think it's really important to, clever, cliche, sure, but to really define what quality means, because it's subjective to everybody and I'm kind of over it. Let's talk about what your quality is, because what you want your list to do could be very different than what you think it's actually going to do.
Wait a second. Am I getting automated emails from you that I think I'm talking to you? I just realized something here on
Anything
the
you
show.
see sent to you at like 501, 601. Yeah, sometimes it's just automatically sent to you.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All right. What else you got? What else you got?
I wrote it. Okay.
I know.
The next one I have, aren't they just such a good example of collaboration, even down to their Slack channel, crazy ideas, and playing video games? I think it seems like a really good secret sauce for co-founders.
Yeah, so it's so interesting because usually when I'm brought into any sort of partnership situations, as I'm looking at this now, what I see there is just a lack of greed. Collaborate's like, the big word, but it's a lack of greed, an actual genuine, hey, let's go do something together. Let's go, change the world, to be cliche. I think it helped probably having that honest, wholesome relationship that had nothing to do with their work, but more with who they truly were as people,
I agree.
Yeah.
I think we know a little something about collaborating.
Yep.
At least from these two.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what we say, folks? If you're listening,
Keep listening.
you've been listening to the Serial Entrepreneur Show, produced by the team here at SmartCookie Media.